here the biggest collection of my life, both in monetary value and in size. The Wilbur collection consists of every Marvel comic from 1964 to 1980. I want to tell you all about the Wilbur collection, what's in it, how the negotiations went down, how much I paid. But first, we gotta head to Florida and acquire this thing. Young Marcus, you ready to go?
To the Brymobile!
To the Brymobile!
To the Brymobile!
So the beauty of living in beautiful Kalispell, Montana is we have an international airport 20 minutes from my house. And if you go another 20 minutes, you're in Glacier National Park with the grizzly bears. Absolutely the best of all the worlds. So young Riley here, the store manager, is going to take me and young Marcus here, the director of operations, drop us off at the airport, and we're going to fly to Tampa. We've got one layover, and in between I'll tell you guys all about this incredible collection. All right, so we made it to our gate. Literally the only people in this airport I think are for our particular flight, which thank God, because we got to the front counter to do our checked bag. Our checked bag is just shipping supplies. So we get here, it's got to be under 50 pounds, it's 57 pounds. So we said, all right, let's shed some of the paper. So we walk over to the trash cans and are unrolling the paper, and then the supervisor comes out and you see her just looking at us like, what is going on? And so we come back after unrolling and filling their trash cans with paper, and it's 52 pounds. And we're like, what are we gonna do? And she's like, you know what, you guys, we're gonna let it slide. You guys are good. So we were like, thank God. Yeah. That was unnecessarily stressful. We just got the U-Haul, and I'll explain here in just a minute when we get settled, like the plan and the whole process. But when the taxi driver dropped us off at the U-Haul, he was like, you guys are not from around here? I lived here for 40 years and I wouldn't come here. And we're standing there trying to get our mobile check-in for our U-Haul. Long story short, we're safe in the U-Haul, heading to the Airbnb, and I'll tell you guys the plan. All right, so the plan is this. We flew out here to Florida, and then we're gonna rent a U-Haul, which we just did. We're gonna take that to Mr. Wilbur, which is about half an hour from here. We're in Tampa. Pack up his collection, bring it back to this Airbnb, and then package everything up and ship it back via UPS. It's gonna be about 75 large boxes, I believe. First of all, the reason we got the U-Haul and brought it back here instead of just packing it at Mr. Wilbur's house is it's probably gonna take us like at least 12 to 16 man hours to do that. And I just figured that it would probably be a nuisance to him to have us in his house and tape rolls going in boxes, and there's an emotional factor to it. You know, it's a bittersweet thing for him to let go of his collection. He's happy he got a good price, but he's sad to see it go. And I just feel like it would drag it on to have us there for 16 hours. So I just thought it would be easier on him and easier on us to just package it up here at an Airbnb. That way we can work late into the night if we want, because we just have tomorrow and the next day to do this. One thing's for sure, you guys, this has turned out to be a crazy endeavor. I mean, this is more of an adventure than I thought it was gonna be. This place is actually really awesome. We're gonna take the U-Haul right here and just back it in, and so we can, you know, have some privacy when we unload it and box everything up in here. So I forgot to mention about the cost. We crunched the numbers every different way. You know, this was a 36-hour drive from Montana, and we crunched the numbers to rent a U-Haul and drive that far. I'll put it up on the screen how much that would have cost. I think it was around like $6,000 for the U-Haul and the gas, but then you have 3 12-hour days to get here and 3 12-hour days to get back. You have hotels the whole time, and we frankly just did not want to do that drive. So it's about the same cost to fly out here, rent the U-Haul, fly back and ship it back is about $8,000 it's going to cost me after it's all said and done, maybe a little bit more. But in all honesty, even if there was a bigger difference, even if it was way cheaper to drive, I still probably wouldn't have wanted to do that. Those 6 12-hour days in the car, I just wasn't game for it. So we went with this plan, and everybody's just more comfortable. It's just going to be a lot easier on everyone. So this place is awesome. That's the plan. Tomorrow morning, we're going to wake up bright and early, go get some boxes from Home Depot, head over to Mr. Wilbur, and check out the collection and go from there. See you soon. So, Comics and Whiskey commented on the post and said you should go to Ulele. We came to Ulele and just stumbled upon this. Yeah, happy 4th, guys. Happy 4th. Let's go.
It's still going. I can still see them shooting them up.
All right, so it's the next day, and it's time to tell you about the collection itself and the COA. So we went back and forth with Mr. Wilbur about the COA because at first he was a little uncomfortable about it. He didn't like the idea because he didn't want to aggrandize himself. He said, this collection isn't about me, it's about the comics. And the more I thought about it, the more I decided that we should do a COA. Not to aggrandize Mr. Wilbur, not to increase the value of the books, not so that I can make more money selling these books, but to enhance the collecting experience of you, the end collector, and to distinguish these books as something special, because they are something special. Every single Marvel variant, and I'll tell you exactly what's in the collection here in just a second, all the brothers and sisters, all the Marvel comics, every issue, all together in one place. Every single Marvel comic from 1964 to 1980 is hard to conceptualize. So here on the screen is every single one of those series, and we have acquired every single issue from these series from 1964 to 1980. Stay tuned to the end of the video if you want to see this list played back slower. Back to the video. A lifelong labor of love of somebody compiling and assembling this collection that makes these issues that some of them are kind of common special and unique, and it just seemed like an absolute shame to have these books just dissolve into all those other copies of these books out there and be indistinguishable. Now with the COA, they are distinguishable as something special. So let's talk. Here's the COA. Shout out to Aaron. Leave a comment down below, Aaron, if you want people to hit you up for your services with design work. He did a nod to the Marvel Studios logo there with where it says the Wilbur Collection. So here it is, the Wilbur Collection presented by Bryce Comics. Bryce Comics is proud to certify this book as part of the Wilbur Collection. The Wilbur Collection consists of every Marvel title and issue from March 1964 through March 1980, minus price variants, with a few hundred others just outside either end. Just over 5,700 issues total. 1,100 plus are certified, with the remaining 4,600 plus raw. All first and most of the key issues are certified. The average overall grade across all 5,700 books is 7.5 with a median grade of 8.0. The books have always been protected from UV light and only taken out for special viewings and photos. All of the slabs and raw books, with no exceptions, have been stored in Mylar. These books were not bought directly off the newsstands, so they do not qualify as a CGC pedigree. However, only a handful of people can say that they've assembled a collection quite like this. It is remarkable and deserves to be noted. So you can see it's something special. Every single issue in Mylar, even the non-important run filler issues in Mylar, stored outside of the light. Just the love and care that went into this thing. This collection is special. So I ordered these COAs. By the time you're watching the first video here, the first batch of books will be available at brycecomics.com. So make sure you head over to brycecomics.com, check out the website, use code COLLECT10 for 10% off. Anything under $1,000 is usually how I do that. While you're there, sign up for the newsletter because we will be, releasing these books over time. It's going to take us time to get them listed. And on that note, we also have a giveaway here on the YouTube channel. It's the 20,000 subscriber giveaway. This month, we're running it for the month of July. If you subscribe, comment, and like, you're entered to win 6 CGC slabs this month. Thank you so much to everyone for all the support, getting us to 20,000 subscribers. Now, let's go head over to Mr. Wilbur's house and check out the collection. All right, I'm here with Mr. Wilbur, and you guys are in for a real treat. This will serve as a benchmark of what a comic book room can and should look like. So before we get everything all boxed up and torn down, I wanted to just do a little room tour and have Mr. Wilbur here show you a little bit around in this collection. Jeff?
Sure, thanks.
Take it away, sir.
Well, when I decided to collect and do my childhood dream of collecting all the silver and bronze age stuff, I thought, well, I'm going to do it right. So the goal was to get everything from the month I was born until I turned 16. So from March of 1964 to March of 1980. And I thought, that's a lot of books. That's going to take a lot of space. I don't think I realized how much space it would take until we finally did it.
Yeah.
But when I finally started reaching the goal, I realized I was going to have to annex my kids' rooms, my son Noah's room and then my son Nick's room. And I ultimately ended up redubbing these Wilbur Family Marvel Collection West Wing and East Wing. So this is the West Wing, and these are the raw books on the rack. And we got some slabs on display here. And then I peppered it with the original art and, some magazines and treasury editions and the like. And made it so that if you want to curl up and read a raw book and get the tactile sensation of touching it and smelling it and all that, you can just hang out here in the room and enjoy it, right? So this is the West Wing, if you will. And this is the East Wing. This came second. And once I really started getting serious in amassing the slabbed issues or getting them slabbed, I had to have a whole lot more space here. And there's actually 12 more boxes that are in my bedroom of all the ASM stuff. So,
right. These are all the slabs. There's 1,100 total slabs, so 12 more boxes. Everything organized by series, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Everything's in Mylar. We'll do some more filming of the books before we box them all up. But these are the crown jewels, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
The ones on the
exactly. Yeah. As I said, Bri, this is tantamount to you marrying and taking my daughter away. Is kind of what it comes down to.
I know, and it's in good hands, and I know, all the people watching this are just going to be chomping at the bit to own a piece of this.
But I know it's going to a good place.
You've shared with me so many details that were so cool, and I know that the people watching are going to want to hear some of those details. Tell us a little bit about buying stuff when you did buy it off the rack at the was it the appliance store?
Yeah. Back in Ohio, back in the mid '70s, when I started really getting serious as a collector, 1974-ish, 70 to 78 probably. We kind of figured out, me and my two good friends, where what days they were delivered and kind of when to get there early so we could get the Spider-Man and all the cool stuff. So there was a Handy Mart. There was a Ray's Appliance, which was a medical appliance place that sold magazines, and that was cool. And then like a convenience store. So we'd pedal our bikes. I think they came on Tuesdays, if I remember correctly, and try to get to all the key issues before they were gone. Then I made the horrible mistake when I got older and had to move out and go to college and had like 2,000 books. And I was thinking, well, it's probably time to let them go in 1984. And I made the mistake of selling my entire collection for a handful of beans and regretted it horribly immediately after. And that's what fueled this quest, this obsession to redeem myself for what I sold in the '84.
So without getting into too many personal details, of course,
okay, sure.
I think people are going to be curious, why now? Why did you decide to sell? And again, only,
Sure. Yeah. In full transparency, I was diagnosed with cancer last fall. And stage 1, head and neck, but required or was going to require chemo and radiation, which I did in the winter, spring. And I'd finished my purview of getting all the issues printed by Marvel between 64 to 80. I'd only been ratcheting up the upgrades. And I'd peaked Mount Everest is the analogy I've used, right? And it's like, I've done it. If I hold on to it, what happens if something happens to me? My kids it'll be a burden, It's a first world problem, but it's a burden to have to deal with this, right? Just insuring it, storing it, and all that. So I thought, the universe is kind of nudging me to say it's time to let it go. Again, it was the quest, it was the love of the quest and the comics that made it worthwhile. It wasn't about holding the material possession as much.
Right.
Although it might not look like it. It really wasn't what it was about. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm absolutely honored,
I'm honored. Thank you.
To be a part of this and just to be in a position where I can compete with other people in the industry. It's unbelievable, to think from where we started that I'm in that position. So
I'm glad you are. I mean, all the big guys, so to speak, pardon the expression, were interested, right?
Right.
But I'm glad that they're going to a home where I knew instantly in our talking and dealings that, you know, you really have a passion for this and you care about it. And you care about your customers and the people you work with. And not that the others don't, but it's a much more personal experience with you. And that says something, you know, and that means something.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing with everybody. I appreciate it. Now we got to get to work. All right, you guys, so this is the last slab box here. 2 walls of slabs. We were going to do a fancy transition, snap transition with this Florida heat, man. Just cut it. All right, so this is all of the raw books, and the slabs are now loaded up. And in case you've ever wondered what $700 worth of bubble wrap looks like, this is it. I had this shipped here in advance before we got here. All right, so I just wanted to show a couple of the books. We'll do a more thorough like unboxing and show the magnitude of the collection in a future video, but I just wanted to get some in this video. Star Wars #1 in a 9.8, Avengers 4 in a 5.0, X-Men 4 in a 4.5, Silver Surfer 4 in a 9.2, Amazing Spider-Man 50 in a 7.5, signed by John Romita, ASM 121 in a 9.6, and it just goes on. And I wanted to show you guys the raw book. So here it is, a thing of beauty. All Mylar, every single issue without exception. And again, you guys, the median grade is an 8.0 across all the slabs and all of the raws. He has every single raw graded. I mean, look at the colors on this, kind of a mixed box. We got some like 15-cent Iron Man. Look at the quality of these books. I mean, this is just going to be a real treat to unbox, and some amazing shows coming up. So stay tuned for a future video where we break it all down. So we're at Ulele. This is our celebratory dinner because we put in at least 12-hour day today working. So we got the signature dish here, the char-broiled oysters from Ulele. It's actually young Marcus and I's first time both eating oysters, and it's all for comics. It's all due to comics. So let's take our tridents here, Marcus, and cheers to comics. Cheers to comics.
All right, guys, so we just got our entrees. We've got this amazing crackling pork shank over at Brian's side of the table. Looks absolutely phenomenal. Kind of looks like a tomahawk, honestly. And then we've got this awesome Florida pompano with some little crawfish tails on the side there and some green beans. I don't know what that is, but it looks amazing. We're about to dig in.
All right, so we are done packing the boxes. Came out to 40 total boxes, and it cost about $4,200 just for the labels, and about $1,000 in shipping supplies. Maybe a little more than that for the boxes and the bubble wrap. So about $5,500 to ship. And I think the U-Haul with gas and the cost of the U-Haul would have cost around the same price, around $5,000, $5,000 to $6,000. So it's about the same price to ship it. The curveball was we had a pickup scheduled. The guy was going to come back, and I thought it wasn't going to fit in the truck. So in my infinite wisdom, I thought, let's schedule another pickup, and somehow scheduling 2 pickups resulted in us getting 0 pickups, because then the supervisor got involved and she was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. So after spending $5,000, UPS is like, no, we're not going to pick it up. They just didn't have the resources today because it was like last minute. I think she said we can do it on Monday. So a little frustrating. Now we have to load all of this into the U-Haul and drop it off at the distribution center. So that's what we're gonna do now. We'll see you soon. So I want to talk about what just happened at UPS, which was absolutely bananas. Then I want to talk about the negotiation for this collection, how much it's worth, how much I paid, and how much I think I can actually sell it for. So it's Saturday, and the UPS supervisor said she couldn't send her truck to pick up the packages, so we had to bring them to the distribution center. It took us 2 loads in the U-Haul, and when we got there, she said, you know, just meet me here. So I go down there. It's a ghost town, a huge warehouse with like 50 empty UPS trucks. Like the interior of the warehouse with the conveyor belts and everything, not a soul in sight. So we get there, we have to call the 800 number to actually get a hold of her. She finally comes out and has us load the semi truck with the boxes. We literally loaded the semi with our boxes. And you know, that place was just a real eye-opening experience, because when I was in the warehouse, I saw like a mountain of packages that were just like off to the side. So if you've ever had like a notification that the last scan for your UPS package was in the warehouse and it was 7 days ago, well, I just saw like 100 people who are probably wondering where the heck their package is. It's over there in a pile in the warehouse. There's labels on the side of the semi. There was labels that like clearly had gotten like pulled off of the packages, and they're just labels all over. So we make the 2 trips. She signs for it. She literally signs for it because they can't scan it. And that's a done deal. So, you know, fingers crossed. We did everything in our power. We did absolutely everything. We did the best we could to package them well. And now we just have to cross our fingers and wait. So the negotiations. So Mr. Wilbur reached out to me about, I think it was about 3 weeks ago for the initial conversations about the collection. And when I first had that conversation with him, you know, I thought, man, you know, that would be so cool. That would be so cool. But I didn't get my hopes up. I really didn't actually think I was going to get the collection. I've been doing this long enough to know just don't get your hopes up, especially with something like this with such steep competition. He said he was going to finish rebagging all of the raw books and checking all of his grades and send it out to multiple dealers. So I thought, you know, there's a small chance that I'll actually get this. So he sent me the spreadsheet with every single thing in the collection catalog, every single slab, every single raw book, and everything with a value, including the non-comic book stuff. So there was about $13,000 worth of non-comic book stuff, like original art, lunch boxes, toys, omnibuses, things of that nature. Every single thing was cataloged. All of the raw books were priced according to Overstreet price guide. So take that with a grain of salt. But you know, some of it is actually pretty accurate. Like the Silver Age raw books that Overstreet had prices for are pretty accurate. But then there's other things that are just way off. For example, 2001: A Space Odyssey. You know, Overstreet has like issue 2 probably at like $13 or $15 or something like that. And it actually had the whole set of 2001. I think it's 1 through 10. For the total value was like $120 according to Overstreet. But if you go look on eBay, the whole set, including number 1, was just sold for $30 on eBay. So, you know, there's a lot of nuance to valuing these, but with the slabs, he was actually pretty much spot on with the value of the slabs. And his grand total for the collection, including all the extras, was $366,000. So $366,000 was the total collection value. I paid $215,000. So my walkaway price was $210,000. I was like, I can't do any more than $210,000. And then when it got down to the final bidding of the negotiations, I was like, I don't want to let this thing get away from me for $5,000. $215,000 turns out to be just about 60% of $366,000. So I paid a high price, all things considered. You know, having to come down here, paying $10,000 just to get the collection back, and all of the time that it's going to take to actually sell this thing. So I think when it's all said and done, I think I'll probably make about $50,000, and I think it'll take us about 6 months to do it. But it's the big picture, which is the reason that I did this. It wasn't, you know, just the price. So the numbers by itself don't make a ton of sense. But when you look at the big picture of getting to be a part of something special like this, you know, getting to put my name, Bryce Comics, with something like the Wilbur collection and being a part of this, especially after meeting Jeff, like I'll look back on this later in life as like a really positive experience, you know, being a part of something big. And so with that in mind, leave a note in the comments, you guys, like a word of encouragement for Mr. Wilbur for, you know, a speedy recovery, and that the comic book community has his back for his battle with cancer. I think, you know, I wish I would have mentioned that when I saw him in person, that I think it's safe to say that the comic community can rally behind somebody like Mr. Wilbur. And then second was, you know, coming to Florida was actually fun, you know, which is why I got to give a major shout out there to young Marcus to be able to do a trip like this with anybody. And as stressful as it is, with as many moving parts as there is, and to not get in like any major arguments or fights is huge. Like, it's really rare to even be able to do that with anyone. And so to have an employee that I can do that with, I'm incredibly grateful. And I've also, you know, I've said it privately, I'll say it publicly. This young man has one of the best moral compasses of any human I've ever met. It's incredibly impressive for a 20-year-old kid. And so I'm just incredibly grateful. So it's a done deal. It's a wrap. All we have to do is fly home, and then we have to unpack the boxes. The first books, I express shipped some of the most valuable stuff, and so the first books will be available when you're watching this video, if everything goes according to plan. And then it'll take us about a week to receive the other books, and then it'll take us months to, you know, unbox and list everything on the website. So make sure you're signed up to the newsletter over on the website, because every time we drop new inventory from this collection, it will be a newsletter blast from the website. And use code COLLECT10 to get 10% off. Also follow us over on Whatnot, because we're going to do a ton of raw book shows and slab shows on Whatnot. Got a lot of fun ideas for some really fun Whatnot shows. And if you use the link down in the description, you'll get $15 towards your first purchase on Whatnot. So you could get one of these books for free, literally. If you use that link and you're new to Whatnot, a lot of these books, the raw books, will sell for $15. And follow us over on Instagram as well, because we might be doing some Instagram live sales for some of these raw books as well. And thank you to everyone for sticking with us. Thank you to Marcus for all of your help on this. I mean, we worked hard. Yeah, I appreciate everyone, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye.